Hello, and welcome to a new series on my channel. I am Elmaron, and this is Final Fantasy Record Keeper. And this is a game that came out in 2015, right around my birthday. Right around the time that I was really wishing I could play more sprite-based Final Fantasy games. And it was practically a birthday present for me from Square Enix. And I've played off and on for the last, it's 2022 now, for 7 years. I haven't really gotten to in depth. I haven't done a lot of any of the high-end stuff since way back in the day when it was the only mobile Final Fantasy game that I played. There have since been 5 other games that have come, and one of them's already closed, and So I wanted to play do a little bit of this, mostly for myself. I want to kind of have a record of what this game was like. There's not a lot of original story for this one, like some of the other mobile games are all about original story and characters and stuff. This one's mostly a celebration of the Final Fantasy series as a whole. And I really just wanted to have a place where I can look back and experience the story again if I want to, and to experience what this game was like, because they just recently announced that they are ending service for the game in September of this year. And when a mobile game ends service, you can't play it anymore. It's the thing I like the least about these games, where it's a gacha game. There's a draw thing down here in the bottom right corner, where you draw for special weapons for your characters to power them up and stuff, and you can spend actual money on that, and you can spend a lot of actual money on that. And I did spend a lot of actual money on that at one point. That's part of why I had to stop playing for a while. I had to break that habit of spending money on the game for basically gambling. But the monetization, the predatory monetization side of things, and this is not the worst offender by any means of monetization gacha games. It is there, and I happen to be the kind of person who has trouble with that sort of thing. But the game itself I really like. Not as much as my favorite of the Final Fantasy mobile games is Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Gameplay-wise, that's my favorite. I like the story in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. War of the Visions is growing on me. And I say that I've been playing it for like 2 years, and it's still for me. It's not my favorite. But it's okay. I kind of miss Mobius Final Fantasy, that it was sort of a retelling of Final Fantasy 1, and it was a lot of fun. They put a lot of effort into it. The graphics were amazing for what it was for a mobile game. The gameplay was pretty good. There was a weird card system, but the game just, it focused a lot on story, which was really great, and the story was okay to start with and got a lot better over time, and it was a pretty tough game to play, but I kind of fell off on that one as well at some point, and then the next thing I knew, they'd ended service, and I can't play that one anymore, and I kind of regret never finishing the story for it. Thankfully, there have been YouTube videos where people had recorded their experience, the whole story. No talking like I'm doing right now, no commentary or anything, but so I can at least go back and watch, even if it's not my character insert name thing for it. But I don't know. Again, this is going to be the Record Keeper, the game we're looking at right now, is a game that has Final Fantasy music literally all over the place. I have no idea if this will get copyright pinged by YouTube. If so, this might just have to be a private series for myself, but I wanted to record this and and just have that. So they didn't unfortunately save a lot of the like original game. Originally, this game had not really cutscenes. It was just little dialogues between your character, canonically named Tyro, but my character's named Almeiron, of course, and Dr. Mog, who would explain the game basics, the game mechanics, how it worked, the premise behind the game, and stuff in little snippets. But they don't save that, so I don't think I'll be able to see that again. But we do at least have it's this opening movie, so let's take a look. I think this is like the trailer, or just when you start a brand new game, I think this is what you get. Obviously, it's been 7 years since I started a new game on this. I'm not the type to make multiple accounts of these games. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom. Its glory was measured in magic and art, and above all else, stories. The record keepers preserved these stories, that their example might inspire, and that's too fast. They used powerful magic to bind their records, not just in dusty tomes, but in paintings of great beauty. Painting. 7, 5, 10, 12, 9, 4. See if I can recognize things as they flash on the screen. Hey, it's Dr. Mog as a statue, apparently. We'll meet Dr. Mog. The Royal Archives. 7. Here, the paintings are sorted by the stories their records tell, and kept under constant guard. And so the ages passed in peace. A peace maintained by the watchful keepers and their records. Until one day, the records within the paintings began to disappear. As the color of memories past faded, a darkness fell upon the world, bringing catastrophe and ruin. And that's why we have the game, I guess. Should we look at the opening movie too? Let's do it. If it's just like a gameplay thing. Now, to ensure the kingdom's future, you must save its past. Restore the records. Relive the stories. Final Fantasy theme in the background. Yeah. Stories of the struggles fought by heroes of legend. Stories of their hope and courage and something. This is your story, Record Keeper. May its telling be worthy of legend. Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Title. We have a title. Yeah, I didn't think that would take very long. So Nightmare and Record Dungeon movies are for stuff that happened later in the game. So let's see if I can show. So this is what the home screen looks like now. Like, back in the day, we just had Realm power up an event, and then we got Nightmare, and then they added Magicite to it, and then I think Cardia came next, and then Labyrinth. That was during a period that I wasn't playing. And then they also added Moat Dungeons and Record Dungeons. The Record Dungeons are the original story for the game. But the basic game is, as far as I'm concerned, is this the Realm Dungeons, as they call it, where you go in, yeah, and it's the original music, and then you can fight it tells there's a boss, what the rewards are. Let's just do a real quick fight with the party I have. Well, no, you know what? We're gonna do a different party because it's Final Fantasy 1. It's not gonna be hard. And Sarah, and then Wool, Echo, and Maya are from Mobius Final Fantasy. I'm not gonna put any thought into this. I'm just gonna do auto stuff. Which is one of the things that I still like, it's not gone yet, about this game, is that it brought in a lot of characters from games you wouldn't necessarily expect, like Mobius and Brave Exvius, and Final Fantasy Dimensions 2, even though they never brought in people from Final Fantasy Dimensions like I wished. Okay. Oh. So, this is the basic game. Each of these abilities, they get 2 abilities. They're assigned in that I optimized, and it just slaps on the best, the highest leveled abilities, not necessarily the best abilities. I didn't know you could do that. I don't play with Warrior of Light very often. I never got into like the metas of this game the way I have with Dissidia. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's been a while since I paid any attention to this game, really. Oh, neat. I guess I haven't. You get those record materials are a later edition from. Let's say later edition. They're actually really early comparatively, but. Thing. They weren't. It's not. It was an addition at some point later beyond the initial. The initial game was just 2 abilities. You leveled up the abilities. You got your characters. You leveled up your characters. And then they had special soul breaks, is what they call the limit breaks, which were gotten by special items. And you have to wait for the gauge to fill up. Like that. So, he's not going to be able to pull it off because it takes a while and I'm having characters... Oh wait, no wait, hang on, let's have him do it. Crossover moment. I don't know what it does, we'll find out. And the higher the soul break gauge gets, the better abilities you can do from it. Like there's a whole bunch of segments. Stop hitting Warrior of Light or you're going to die. Too fast for me to get to talk about this. And the Magia is another. Once you got to the point where characters could level up to 99, because they've started 1 to 50, and then like 50 to 65, and 65 to 80, and then 80 to 99. I think that's what it was. As gradually, you had to get items to be able to do that with your characters, and then after you got to max level, they found other ways to make your characters stronger so that they could keep the power creep going. Because that's how these games work. There's always a power creep. So otherwise, they can't entice you to keep spending money. I am of 2 minds on these games. I dearly love gameplay and story-wise what they do and can do. I desperately wish they were not monetized the way they were. I'd pay, a subscription would be great. Yeah, I was playing on the easiest mode, of course. Princess Sarah killed Garland. If only she had done that in the first game, then none of this would have happened. So, yeah, and then you could also look at it this way. This tree basically is the order in the order of operations. It's like this is how the Realm Dungeons were released, basically, roughly. The stuff for Final Fantasy XIV came a little later. I think originally it was like 7, 10, 5, and also 4. And then that all back into 6 there. And then 14 and 15 here were added in later. But this is also why I started playing Final Fantasy XIV, was they put Final Fantasy XIV characters, and I was like, well, I kind of want to try that game. No, I don't actually want to do that. To see what it's like. Let's see if we got the power-up dungeon. I know there was dungeon rules. This explains. Yeah, okay. So that's not. Anyway, so there's Realm Dungeons and Power-Up Dungeons. There's various events that come out where I'm most likely to get pinged for, Newcomer's Dungeon. Right. I wonder if they probably don't give me the little dialogue stuff anymore. I kind of wish they did, because I'd love to both show it off and also record it. But here, we have info. And so the Nightmare was the first really hard stuff they put in this game that really challenged me, and I beat about a third of them, and then it got really hard, and I kind of gave up for a while, which was good, because I needed to stop spending money, like I say. But, so, as Dr. Mog continued his research into the vanishing records, which we heard about in that opening movie, he stumbled upon a tome that spoke of vast ruins deep underground known as the Nightmare. The Nightmare contains 12 powerful records, but like the records and the paintings in the Royal Archive, these too have begun to fade. According to Dr. Mog, if all 12 Nightmare records can be restored, and you restore it by going into the record and beating the boss, that restores the painting. That's the framing for the whole game. It will be a vital step toward uncovering the truth behind the event that led to the record crisis. I wonder if we ever found out the truth behind that. So, once I came back to the game, I was able to beat these. But then we went to the second level, the Magicite Dungeons, and I have not been able to beat these. I just never figured out what to do for the difficulty 250. That's about where my ability to handle the game's mechanics ended. I could probably still figure it out if I really put some time into it, but again, game's shutting down in a few months. I'm not sure if it's worth the effort. But, these dungeons lie deep within the Nightmare and contain extremely deadly foes. So, here's the story. Dr. Mog and the Keeper have discovered new dungeons deep inside the Nightmare called Magicite Dungeons, and within them, a mysterious girl named Ilara. According to Ilara, the Magicites sealed away inside the dungeons have grown unstable, and there's no time to lose bringing them under control. With little else to go on, the Keeper set out to explore the dungeons to find a way to rein in the Magicite. The Keeper is me, obviously. So, this little info bit, I like that, because it tells us a tiny bit about the story, at least, even if I can't relive the whole dialogue bits again. And then I think Cardia came next because they're still doing Labyrinth Dungeons. Bahamut, ruler of Cardia, has assembled Dreams, Torment, Dreambreaker, and Dragon King dungeons in the Cardia Islands Record Dimension. Upon arriving in the Cardia Islands Record Dimension, Tyro and his companions have a chance encounter with the Guardian of Epic Tales. Bahamut, ruler of Cardia, bestows upon Tyro a Historia Crystal and urges him to undertake the trials. Yeah, so that's something that was leveling up after I did that brief dungeon. You get a Historia Crystal based on the for each game, each mainline game. That can level up, and you can use that as an extra ability during a fight, basically. So, again, I haven't really done anything with these. I guess I did the very first one, but then it gets up to the 260 difficulty, and again, I haven't really figured out how that goes. And anyway, I just wanted to go through some of that in this first episode. We'll see if I want to continue, if YouTube doesn't ping me too badly. Does the rules tell me any, other than get notes, does it tell me any story? There's no story behind this one. Okay, that's fine. Because the Magicite dungeon introduces Ilara, and Ilara plays a big role in the Record Dungeons, which is the actual original story for the game. The playable original story. So the rest of the original story is basically just framing device for why are you playing this game? Why does this game exist, other than to entice you to give them your money and also play their other games that they make. So the other thing I wanted to look at is just to show off a little bit. I have managed to collect every single available character. in the game. And there are a lot of them, but they're not all that hard to get these days. They're all available in a Souls shop. I haven't been able to max out all of them by any stretch because I've gotten everybody to level 80, because you've leveled them to 50, you have to get us level limit break crystal, something like that, to get them to 65, and then a level 2 version to get them to 80. And those ones I've been able to get enough of, but those tier 3 ones that get you up to level 99, there are less of those available. Oh, I guess I don't have Sora, Riku, Roxas, and Axel, because I wasn't there for the Kingdom Hearts crossover event, and they never came back, and they're not actually available. Unlike everybody else, they're not actually available in that shop. But yeah, so the people with these crystals are Tyro, and then the characters for this game, and the basic jobs, and then this symbol is for other realms, so like World of Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy Dimensions 2 and Final Fantasy Brave Exvius are represented there. And then there's Type 0, and then Tactics, and Tactics encompasses Tactics Advance as well. Interestingly, we don't have Luso from Tactics Advance 2, even though Luso did get a spot in Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions. So, interesting. Anyway, I'm interested to see if they add anything else extra to the game. And then I've got a massive equipment collection, obviously, because you make relic draws to get these weapons to add soul breaks to your characters, and that makes them stronger. There's armor and etc. And then these are all the ones I guess I haven't gotten yet. So yeah. Anyway, the game is a nostalgia trip for me. I really liked it when it came out. I found other games that I like better since, but I do still have a soft spot for this one. I do think it has a place. I kind of wish it wasn't ending. And to the extent that it is ending and that I don't mind that it's ending, I wish that they would do a thing where they release a permanent version, where maybe it's just the original story, and I can just play that whenever I want, and it doesn't have to log into the internet, and they don't have to have server space for it. I can just download it to my phone and play it like that, just so that I can experience it again. But, things move on, and I can't play my Super Nintendo anymore because I don't have one. They're hard to find functional versions, and these things happen. But recording things like this is how we can hold on to it, I think, in some sense. Just to remember that it was there and that there was this story. So, anyway, that's what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what this is. If you enjoyed, let me know, and I will talk to you later.